What's going on, everyone? So TMZ, they just get everything. Like, they just digging up all the dirt. It is crazy. Their response time, although this scenario, the response time was really late, but TMZ is usually crazy, the stuff that they're able to dig up and unveil. But Jaxson Hayes is being reinvestigated by the NBA. TMZ got footage of the incident that Jaxson Hayes went through back in 2021, back when he was a Pelican. That was before he ever became a Laker. Lakers were aware of the situation. He kind of, at the time, appeared to rectify things. All seemed to be good. Lakers ended up signing him, and that's where the situation seemed to have ended. And now you got this footage, and everything's opening back up. And this might not be good for the Lakers, and this might not be good for Jaxson Hayes. It could potentially be good for the Lakers, and we're going to dive into it and talk about it. I don't really want to get into all the details and stuff like that as far as the Jaxson Hayes incident, because it's a basketball channel. Want to keep it basketball. All the drama and all the, illegal stuff is available for you to look up. But I want to keep this basketball conversation basketball related. And from a basketball standpoint, with the NBA investigating Jaxson Hayes, this potentially opens up several directions. One, they could just decide hey, what's done is done. Whatever personal stuff, we'll just kind of go. It was 2021. It's been years. We're done. And you have that route where Jaxson Hayes, nothing really happens, at least NBA-wise, and then you have the whatever resolves personally, or they can kind of just wait and see, let's see how this unfolds, let's see how this unpacks before we make any, decisions right out the gate. And then Jaxson Hayes kind of gets to finish through the year or however long until, all this gets kind of resolved. There's that direction. And then there's the direction where they potentially suspend him or maybe even kick him out the league, depending on how serious they want to go or how serious these, allegations and stuff are. And, maybe they go, hey, you're done, right? If I had to guess, I don't think that they'll kick him out of the league just based on, previous players and some of their incidents that they've done. Where I think that more likely than not, what will happen is he'll probably get suspended for some time. And this is where the Lakers come in, right? Because the Lakers, they have a couple paths. So first path is they're just without a center for a team that already is incredibly thin at center, right? Who is your backup center at that point? Christian Wood, he's not returning. Do you want to rush him back? Probably not. Do you play Anthony Davis 45 minutes a game? Probably not. So now you're probably going small ball, right? And going with Rui or LeBron at the center position, which is not ideal, but it's kind of what else are your options there? Depending on how long he's suspended, right? Do you, maybe just kind of throw Christian Koloko out there at some point, right? The problem is he needs to ramp up. He needs to do that, but he technically on a two-way, he could play 50 games. So if Jaxson Hayes gets say a 30-game suspension or something like that, you could bring in Koloko and then he can kind of, just fill in the gaps momentarily. Do you waive Jaxson Hayes? The problem with the Lakers waiving Jaxson Hayes is if they waive him, they have no way to replace him, right? Because of $45,000 under the second apron, and that money is guaranteed. So it's just dead money, at least till the offseason. So now, what do you do there? Do you just waive him, just kind of cut ties with him? But then how do you address that center position? Do you trade him to a team that is willing to cut him, right? So maybe you're giving up a second-round pick in order to kind of get off of him and then maybe bringing in a Christian Koloko, and now you just freed up some cap space, freed up some money. That's a possibility. It's something that they probably should have done in the offseason, but still, now is as good of a time as ever to kind of do that. And now you have your kind of justification to move off of Jaxson Hayes and kind of, maybe bring in a Koloko. But you need to make sure Koloko is good and ready to go is the problem. Does this push the Lakers harder to go make a trade for a center, right? Does this mean there's been a lot of talk of Walker Kessler? Does this mean that the Lakers are going to really just get him, right? And just kind of push their chips in and we end up getting a Walker Kessler trade at some point. I don't think the Walker Kessler trade, if it does happen, I don't think it'll happen until after the road trip, right? I think the Lakers will get through the road trip. So November 7th is when they will be back. That's when I think we may see a Walker Kessler trade. That's when I think we may see, if it happens, that's when I think they make a move. But I could see this potentially lighting a fire under the Lakers to like, hey, we really need to get a center because Jaxson Hayes might be out. And if he's out, then we're in trouble. The last sort of option would be if the Lakers, is if he violated his contract, right? And then the Lakers can kind of absolve that. And it's like, hey, you messed up. But that gets very complicated. And then the Players Association, it's very hard to do that, right? And Jaxson Hayes' argument would be like, hey, you guys knew about this incident and you signed me, right? Like, this happened back in 2021. We all thought it was resolved. We all thought it was done. And now it's came to light, but I didn't violate it while I was under contract with you, right? So it just, that I think is the least likely scenario. I mean, ideally, if that happens, great, because then you could just cut him. Money's gone. Now it frees up the cap space. Boom, you can bring in a Koloko, or you can bring in somebody that you need. You know, maybe some free agent that's out there. So bring back Dwight, like a lot of people want to see, right? It's a possibility. But my guess is either A, they bring in, like I said, a Koloko for however long Jaxson Hayes is suspended for, and they just kind of hope and pray that like he can kind of hurry it up, because you're only looking for him to play, you know, like 10 minutes a game tops, right? Because you could probably get away with a couple minutes with like LeBron at center or Rui at center, and then kind of just, you know, kind of go that route where a Koloko comes in and plays whatever, 10 minutes, 12 minutes, something like that. You know, maybe bump Anthony Davis's minutes from like 35 to like 38 or something, to where like, okay, we only need Koloko 10 minutes. Maybe you can kind of do that. My hope is the trade route, right? My hope is that this kind of pushes the Lakers to get a trade done sooner than later. The problem is you don't want to be desperate, right? Like, you don't, like, because we know about it, the Lakers know about it, the entire league knows about it, right? So, like, calling Danny Ainge and being like, hey, buddy, right, what do you think? You know, like, he's going to be like, well, looks like you really need a center now, right? So 2 firsts it is, huh? You know, or do you kind of just, like, try to get through till December 15th and then just make your push for a Valanciunas, right? Like, that could be a possibility. I think the trade route is probably the best route, hopefully, right? Maybe, again, like, you're including a Jaxson Hayes in that deal and then Utah can kind of just waive him and then just good luck to you type thing. Maybe Lakers are throwing in an extra second into the deal for, like, doing us that favor, right? And then maybe you clear off an extra roster spot. That could be a possibility. And then the Lakers could bring in, like, a Quincy Olivari or something, right? Because there's been a lot of talks about the Lakers going and getting Walker Kessler and then also, like, Jordan Clarkson, or ideally, in my opinion, going and getting, like, a Colin Sexton. That would be ideal, in my opinion. But, you know, do you kind of just go, all right, fine, we'll take Jordan Clarkson, where you were trying to push for a Colin Sexton more, but now it's like, let's just take Jordan Clarkson just to go get that center we need, get off of Jaxson Hayes, be like, hey, we'll take Clarkson, but you need to take Hayes and waive him, right? Like, we'll settle for that, and then Utah might be like, sure, like, you know, we're the worst team in the NBA. It's not like we're contending for a championship or nothing, right? So you add in Jaxson Hayes in place of, maybe you were throwing in like a Cam Reddish or something, but now you're getting rid of Jaxson Hayes. It's a tough spot for the Lakers to be in because, again, they're not flushed with centers, right? Now, this does kind of, if you would have addressed this in the offseason, it wouldn't have been a big deal, right? Like, if Jaxson Hayes was your third or fourth big, right, behind Christian Wood, and say you would have gotten Valanciunas in the offseason, it's like, okay, well, you just get rid of Hayes, and then, you ride it out until Christian Wood is healthy, and then you're good, right? All is right in the world of the Lakers. But, you can't change what you can't change. And from the Lakers' perspective, they're probably looking at it as like we never thought, like we never saw this coming several years ago at this point, right? So like we weren't thinking that like, oh, this was going to be something, that this was going to present itself, that this was going to be a thing, that TMZ was going to bring this up. Like you got to imagine Lakers are probably like, but I mean, look, the Lakers should have went and got a center in the offseason. That was obvious, right? Like that was something that we've needed for years now. Right, so I do kind of go like, if you would have done what you were supposed to do in the offseason, then yeah. But, how much of it was actually there, right? I hope that this just lights the fire under the Lakers to get a deal done. I hope, as soon as we find out what because the Lakers will probably wait to see like what happens with Jaxson Hayes, right? Because if nothing happens, then you can kind of be patient still. You kind of like, okay, let's just stay the course. But if he ends up getting suspended for 50 games or something like that, or the season, then now you're like, okay, well now we really gotta go get a center. So I imagine, again, bare minimum, it won't happen until after we get back from the road trip. I just don't see the Lakers making like some swing trade in the middle of a road trip, right? And you unloaded several guys, especially because the Lakers need to win as many games as possible. So you don't want to like trade a D'Lo, who's a huge part of the team's wins, right? And you got to play Memphis still. Like you could probably get away with it with Detroit, but you got to play Memphis still. So if you're the Lakers, you probably want to wait until that Memphis game is over, and then once you get through the Memphis game, then it's like, okay, let's go make this move. But tough spot to be in if you're the Lakers. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass a question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Think the Lakers should just light a fire, get a trade done, get this over with? Do you think you just got to stay the course, be patient, kind of figure it out? Brandon Koloko, do whatever you got to do. Got him for 50 games. Or you bring in a Traore for like 50 games and kind of see like, hey, buddy, let's see what you got, right? I don't know what the option is, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But anyway, again, how you feel, whatever your thoughts are, let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. Helps me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.